Well, as the world celebrated the new year, there were no shouts of Happy New Year in some parts of Israel as rockets fired from Gaza made their way into central Israel overnight, triggering sirens throughout the central and southern parts of the country. State media carried footage of numerous interceptions, but there were no reports of any direct hits. Hamas admits it carried out the barrage in response to what it calls massacre against civilians in Gaza. Early Sunday morning, Israeli jets intensified attacks on central Gaza as battles raged throughout the rubble of towns and refugee camps. The stated goal of Israel's military is to eliminate Hamas, the Palestinian militant group that launched a surprise cross-border assault on Israeli towns on October 7, killing 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and grabbing 240 hostages. More on the Palestinian rocket barrage on Israel. Here's a video showing the rockets being intercepted by Israel. This happened around midnight. Israel's air and artillery bombardment has killed more than 21,800 people. That's according to health authorities in Hamas-run Gaza, with many more feared dead in the rubble, and pushed nearly all of its 2.3 million people from their homes. The rockets illuminated the Israeli skyline. Authorities are still assessing any damage. In the meantime, 3 Palestinian brothers rounded up by Israel in the Gaza Strip say they and fellow detainees were beaten, stripped to their underwear, burnt with cigarettes, and subjected to other forms of mistreatment during their detention. Sobi Yassin, his brothers Saidi and Ibrahim, were among dozens of Palestinian men sheltering in a school in Rafah in southern Gaza as they spoke about the experience. The Israeli Defense Forces spokesperson's office said in a written response that Israeli military was operating to dismantle Hamas, the military's capabilities, and rescue hostages captured by the Palestinian group. The Yassin brothers say they had been taken from their homes in the north of the enclave, separated from their families, and held up for up to 2 weeks at unknown locations, including a military barracks or camps. Sobi says he and his brothers were detained in early December after the Israeli army encircled the area where they lived and worked as day laborers in Gaza City's Zaytun neighborhood. The UN Human Rights Office says it has received numerous reports of mass detentions, ill treatment, and enforced disappearance of Palestinians in northern Gaza by the Israeli military. International humanitarian law requires that civilians only be detained for imperative security reasons, and torture and other ill treatment of detainees is strictly prohibited. In another development, Palestine Red Crescent Society teams rushed to a building on fire in Zaweda, central Gaza, on Wednesday night following an Israeli strike as their forces pushed on in their fight against Hamas. The PRCS said they evacuated 8 casualties to the hospital and that Israel appeared to be targeting a house. The main focus of the fighting is now in central areas south of wetlands that bisect the narrow coastal strip, where Israeli forces have ordered civilians out over the past several days as their tanks closed in. Well, for the new year, the wishes of Palestinian children at a Rafah tent camp as for the Palestinians displaced from different parts of Gaza are simple: to stay alive and witness an end to the war gripping Gaza since October 7. For the children, life in the camp is particularly hard. They lack access to basic life necessities, including food, water, and proper shelter. Asked what they wish for 2021, one girl, 11-year-old Lion Harara, said, "I wish not to die in 2024. The UN Agency for Children, UNICEF, described Gaza in December as the most dangerous place in the world to be a child.